So over the last few weeks, you guys have been seeing all sorts of random stuff that we got going on. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. Before, you guys remember our E46 that we had before. We were going to turn that into a total drift car. Didn't have a title. We fought to try to get that. Long story short, I couldn't get one. I found a guy that is in Pensacola. He wanted to buy it. He was going to work through it. He was going to turn it into just a full drift car. The problem with us is we wanted to still be able to drive it on the street, take it to the track, drive it to the events and back. So that didn't work for us. That was a fail. Now, we have the E92 now. And the E92 is a 335i. The hidden gem to a lot of these, a lot of people don't know about, and they're rarely becoming more popular, is their twin turbo. Now, they're equivalent to the 2JZ engine.
2JZ engine, no
for Toyota, but they have a lot of reliability issues. As you start modifying them and you start doing different things, they have all sorts of issues. But they also had a lot of issues too from the get-go from factory. Freaking mosquitoes and stuff, gnats. So factory, they had all sorts of issues like the injectors, the coil on plugs, all sorts of just other issues. I'm still doing some research. Now, we bought this one from a guy over in Fort Walton Beach. We have a very interesting story behind that, but we'll save that for a later time, and we'll let you guys know for that. If you guys want to know more about that, let us know about it down below. It is a very interesting story, and I think you guys will really like that. But E92, it's an automatic, so we're not going to be able to go full drift on it. We are going to start trying to do some cool things with it, but it's got a lot of power. And this car here came from Copart. The gentleman that we bought it off of originally bought it from Copart. He was in the process of getting it inspected, but again, the story for that is holding it for a later time. If you guys want to hear about that, let me know down below, and we'll maybe do a video on that. It's a very interesting story, but a very tragic story on what happened. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. But you know, we've got this. When we first got it, it wasn't running. We've got it back. There was a whole issue with it not starting properly. We started digging into it a little bit more. We found out the water pump was locked completely up. The cam positioning sensor was shot. That was fried. That was all on the same fuse, by the way, if you guys are looking for that kind of stuff. We kept noticing that the wires kept getting hot until the point that after I got it running, after I made a change to the cam positioning sensor, I didn't know the water pump was actually bad at this time. I had changed the cam positioning sensor, changed the fuse out, and as soon as I did, it fired right up. I was like, holy crap, that's awesome. Until I saw a whole bunch of smoke in the motor on the passenger side from a wire that went down to the water pump. At the time, I didn't know what it was, so I shut it down, did some digging, found the water pump to be completely locked up. And it was pulling so much current, it popped the second fuse. So ordered a water pump in, tore it all apart. I didn't get any of this on footage because I wasn't sure I was going to put this on the channel, but now that I've been working through some of this stuff and people have been talking about I should be posting about this, I'm going to do that. And so got the water. We're going to fast forward. We got the water pump changed. We got the cam positioning sensor changed. We changed some hosing down below where it was leaking some coolant. Changed a whole bunch of maintenance. We changed the plugs. I got one new coil on pack, but it's still got a misfire. I'm getting a cylinder 6 injector-ish error, and I don't think it's the actual injector because sometimes it'll start working just fine. It could be. It'll be working just fine, and then all of a sudden it'll just pop off on a misfire, and then as I'm driving, it'll just go away. So I don't know. It could be partially to this was part of a flood. Now, the sunroof was actually leaking, and it wasn't the actual sunroof that was leaking, it's the tubes that go down. So on the front of these cars, let me take you back here. On the front of these cars on the sunroof, we're going to be closing this up because we're getting it ready for inspection. We pretty much got everything ready besides that misfire. We're going to be taking it over to Alabama and getting it inspected so that we can get the title on a rebuilt and then really start enjoying it and taking her out and having some fun. But anyways, there's a tube here, a tube here, tube here, tube here. Now the tubes run down these A-frame channels and the B-frame and C-frame of the channels. Now, as they run down to the fender here, down below. what was happening was this here was clogged, and one day when I came out, because we left it outside, we didn't put it under the carport, I left it outside and I opened the door up, and there was like that much water in the footwell. If anybody knows anything about BMWs, a lot of the electronics are in the footwell area. Now, not all of them, but there's a lot of wiring in there, and that could cause corrosion and cause all sorts of other issues. Now, I pulled back the carpet, cleaned it up really good. I was still getting some water. We cleaned the tubes on the sunroof, let the water run over there forever. After we got it all dried up, we left it outside during some major rains that we have down here in southern Alabama, southern northwest Florida area, and crazy. No more leaks. It was dry. That was awesome. So I don't know if it's a wiring issue. I don't know if it's a computer issue that I'm having, but long story short, we are still digging into it a little bit more, but we do pretty much have everything ready for the inspection so that we can get it set up for a rebuild and get it back on the road. And then as we start doing some of this stuff, we're going to do what most people traditionally do. They're going to rebuild it and they're going to redo different things. But for us, we're going to rebuild it with a spicy taste.
Control, vision, determination.
So I've been doing all sorts of research and we wanted something newer. So I've thought about doing this with a S5 Audi because my wife really, really wants a S5. Oh, got some rain coming. As you can see, we got a major storm coming in all through here. So yeah, anyways, so I want to do it to an S5 too, and I want to start trying to build some of these cars and see what we can do with them. But for right now, we're going to test run this one, see if I can get the process down for the inspection and stuff. Once I get all past all that stuff, get the title, then we'll start doing some upgrades. Because without the title, let's face it, this car is useless. To most everybody. Not everybody, it's not going to be useless because some people drive it the way it is. Some people really don't care. But at the end of the day, I do because I want to be able to drive it on the road legally. I've been just kind of driving it around right now because Alabama says that during repairs you're allowed to drive it, and to and from inspection you're allowed to drive it. And so I have all the paperwork that I filed for the repair, for the rebuild and the inspection and all that other stuff. So I did file all that paperwork. We have followed it to the T on that. But without further ado, this is the 335. So we're pretty much ready. Like I said, I got a misfire on number 6 where the injector's not kicking on, but I also got a misfire on number 2, which I just changed that coil pack and I changed that spark plug. So I might have some corroded wires somewhere else I might be missing. So I'm going to be doing some more digging into that and going from there. I do got to try to get a lot of this done before the inspection so that we can make sure we can pass, because I don't know what they're going to look for and what they're going to ask for. I just know when I talked to the lady and the inspector that the windshield cannot be cracked. Check. Airbag light cannot be on. So we had the airbag light on. I cleaned all the connections, put it all back together, reset the computer through ISTA, and as soon as I did that, airbag light's gone. Now, the cool thing about that is if you do everything right and the alert goes away, that means you fixed the issue. So BMWs and just like Jeep and some other ones, if the issue's there, it's just going to keep coming right back. And that's what I've been testing with this. As you can see from some of the footage, I've been trying to get it to run right. When you first fire it up, it has a misfire. What was crazy was Xander was over yesterday and he was helping me out with some stuff. And as I was working through some stuff, the car ran great. No misfires. Actually, I can't say that. We were driving back and all of a sudden the check engine light kicked on. I could feel it was missing one on one cylinder. And then all of a sudden it just went away. Weird, right? So it could be a loose connection, could be a lot of different things. I'm not sure what it is yet. I am still digging into it. It could be that injector. The injector could be going out. These are all kinds of signs of the injector starting to go out. But for right now, we're going to keep diagnosing. I'll probably get an injector or two on order. And if you guys are not familiar with BMWs, you do have to code the injectors into the car for the ECU for it to be able to read. And it's not like a serial number code. It's a flow rate code as far as what the injector can do, and then you put that in there so that it knows what it can push for fuel and whatnot. So yeah, this is the new project, and as we still continue going on, you guys have saw the van, so Don't mind all that. We have had Xander staying with us, and he's actually helping out my parents right now, but we still have the van back here. The van has been getting some work done back here, so it's out of the way, so we got a little bit more room up front. And if you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you guys check out that video up on the top upper right hand corner. We have that video for the EcoFlow that we just installed with the 800 watt alternator, which is like just badass, man. Like, that thing is cool. And so far, it's been running our mini split. We've been able to run the little mini fridge that we have in there. We have been doing all sorts of really cool stuff with that. So that is going to be one awesome little build that we're going to have. Plus, Jeep has all been fixed now. So we had some issues with that where the radiator had a hole in it, like legit a decent sized hole. And it wasn't that I damaged it. It was just old age. Chrysler used a lot of plastic on this, and especially for like the radiators. Now the core of the radiator was all aluminum, but the side are plastic, which most car companies use. But there was a good chunk of plastic missing, about that big, after I really dug into it and tried to find it. So yeah, that was a big issue. So we changed the radiator on that. We've been driving that around. Found I need a track bar for that, so we're going to be getting a track bar on order, get that all hooked up and going, so that we can get that pretty much back on shape. It still runs and drives. Track bar is just a little bit loose, and there is a hack down I'm going to talk about when we do that track bar for the Jeep, where basically we either have to weld on a new piece of metal and drill it, or we have to weld on some washers onto the frame where the track bar bolts to, because what happened is over time it's elongated that hole a little bit, so it kind of slides back and forth. So we're going to do a repair on that to get it all right. The only way to really do that is if you want to do it right, you have to cut the whole thing off and put the new one on. We're not going to do that. We're going to repair it just like what everybody would do out there from a DIY perspective, and that's either get a washer or a new piece of plate and drill a new hole and put it in there and go from there. So hope you guys are liking the content. If you guys haven't checked out the new shirts, we have the new JK shirts, and they have the only bikers, the only Jeep. We'll have the only Beamers here coming up soon. We have the only setup that we have that we're kind of broadcasting and doing. So if you guys haven't checked that out, check out jkadvent.com, and we have all sorts of really cool merch over there. As far as product too, we have the Diamond Audio stuff that we've put into the Jeep. We have the Diamond Audio stuff that we put into our bike Diamond, which is a Harley Davidson Road Glide. And I don't know, we might do some more stuff. I don't know. So far, the Diamond Audio stuff's been pretty solid. There are some things I'm not liking about the Jeep speakers that they sent us, but we'll talk about that in another video. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Be safe out there. Peace.